guys, it's your girl Liz, and today I'm here to give you my impressions of Black Myth Wukong. Now, I've been waiting for this game for like, I don't know, 5 years or whenever it was announced, which actually felt like 10 years. So yeah, just here to talk about how I feel, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I would give it out of 10, and just like the highlights of what makes this game amazing to me. Let's talk about Black Myth Wukong. So the game is made by Game Science, who are Chinese developers, and it's their first AAA game ever. I don't believe it's their first game ever, but first AAA. Wukong is based on the Chinese novel Journey to the West. Sun Wukong is his name, and he's just a badass god monkey, who also inspired the creation of Goku, who also inspired what Goku is all about, which is the sickest. I believe in the first 2 weeks that this game made like 18 million or something ridiculous, and it was exclusive. Well, not exclusive per se, because it is coming out on Xbox, but for a PC and PlayStation 5 game, that's a big number. And, you know, and there's still room for more because Xbox players will be joining soon. So I think that's really cool. And I'm not a numbers person because most of the time, you know, I feel different to what the public feels about certain things, which is in all of us, so whatever, but I just think it's really cool to mention. Black Myth Wukong is basically like an action RPG game, and no, it is not a Souls game whatsoever. I feel like people just slap the word Souls on it if it's a little bit difficult, but it's not even as difficult as Souls. I feel like I can compare it easier to a game like God of War, just like a boss rush, Valkyrie after Valkyrie after Valkyrie after Valkyrie type game. Even like some of the opening the chests and the wooden logs in this game is super God of War. But as for difficulty, definitely not as hard as Dark Souls. So for those of you who haven't played the game or don't want to play the game because you feel like it's a Souls-like, it is not. The only Souls-like thing about Black Myth Wukong is the fact that there are shrines that reset the enemies and the story. It's hard to understand. You need to go and watch lore videos about Black Myth. There's a lot of rolling in this game, just like Dark Souls, before blocking. The NPC missions of Black Myth Wukong are pretty similar to Dark Souls, where if you don't get it done in time or if you progress too much, then you can't go back and get those done because it's too late. Like, that's the Dark Souls portion of the game. And before I go ahead, I've been hearing that people have been having glitching problems in this game, but personally, I only experienced one glitch that was super annoying, and that was like portion, like a chase scene in the game, and that music was just throughout the entire level, and it actually did my head in and made me uncomfortable. And I've got a clip of it here for you to check out. Are we doing it? Do I look good? Do I sound good? Does everything look good? Oh, that goddamn dramatic music! Oh my god, I don't know what to do. This is annoying. It just doesn't stop. That was so frustrating and annoying, but that was the only glitch I experienced, and I played on the PlayStation 5. So for me, my experience was super smooth and fantastic. The only thing that I felt like was laggy was the transition from getting into the menu to change over your abilities and all that kind of stuff. But as far as that goes, nothing concerning. So Sun Wukong as a character is so sick. He is a handsome monkey. He is so menacing, very suave, very stylish, super cocky, like the way that he talks. It kind of makes sense for how powerful this monkey really is. So he had a pretty dope Vegeta-like attitude, funnily enough. So moving on to the story is basically you are the destined monkey who is on a journey to go and find Sun Wukong, who is inside of a rock. And what he's mute, by the way, so this monkey doesn't even talk. But basically, like, the monkey that we play could be like a strand of Wukong's hair that got lost in transit and is making his own journey kind of to Wukong. Or is he like, I don't kind of want to spoil the story too much, but there is a correlation with the character or the monkey that you play and what you have in sync with some Wukong himself. But overall, like, the story was a little bit confusing and a little hard to follow because there is no backstory to most of the characters that you encounter or that you talk to. But it never left me not interested or not intrigued because every character design was just off the planet and amazing. Like, I had no problems with anything except for the fact that, again, that's another Souls-like thing where you have to go back to watch lore videos for a further understanding of what just happened. And I mean, I love that because Souls taught me that, Souls gave me that. So the fact that I was able to do that with Wukong because I was intrigued, like a Souls game, I'm intrigued by all Souls games, but that's the only Souls aspect of Wukong. The story is confusing. The combat in Black Myth Wukong is super smooth. It sounds heavy, like all the hits hit. All the sounds that come out of the staff is super, harsh sounding. It really actually sounds like it hurts, which is super cool. I love like the swooshing of the motion of the staff as well, which is a really cool detail that for some reason I pay a lot of attention to. He has a very cool style and such suave, like funky moves to him as well. And the way that they're presented in the game is also very, very respectable. It's fairly fast paced as well and actually enjoyable. Like, yes, it's repetitive and that's okay because every game is the same except it's got its own little filter on it, and that's cool. We're gamers. Like, it's hard to make something brand new every time, and that's also fine. Another really cool thing about Black Myth Wukong is like the shape shifting aspect of it, where like you face certain enemies, little mini boss fights, and then you can actually like, I guess, like consume their souls and use them for a certain period of time. There were really cool ones like in the video that you are watching right now, because I don't remember all of them by name. It's just absolutely fantastic. I mean, you can see it yourself. So many variations, so many options. Still really cool. Like, I liked it. He also had super cool abilities like being able to like freeze your enemy and then like either heal up or charge up or whatever, and turning into stone for the parry aspect of the game, which uses stamina. You can actually multiply yourself with strands of hair to do more damage, and it just looks really cool. I mean, this game has a lot of impressive aspects to it. Now, after mentioning all of that, if I was to rate or like give it a number out of 10 as for difficulty of Black Myth Wukong, I'd give it like a solid 7. I'm not going to sit here and say it was easy or not hard at all. There were certain bosses that made me sweat and stress out and actually super frustrated, but was it crazy hard? No. Most of the bosses I actually did first go. Most of them. At least 80% of them. And that's coming from a Souls player. Like, I love Souls games, so maybe it's because of my experience that I didn't find it as hard, but the fact that, I didn't even have any option to call people to help me just made me more hungry and wanting to master my enemy. Like, the fact that this game gave me that motivation, difficulty was motivating, and that's a cool thing to say. Whereas with Souls, you're just like, this is so hard, alright, I'm just gonna call someone to come and help me. The way Wukong gave you no choice and to like that Sekiro sort of vibe to get good, it was really cool. But yes, I will mention that, that the boss rush aspect of the game really got exhausting sometimes, but I love that I was at the edge of my seat the whole time. I love that the next enemy was going to be difficult and it was going to be a whole thing. It was going to be a big deal, and it was each time. And I really respected that. Like, I also wanted to mention about the things that stood out to me, and the things that stood out to me were absolutely the enemy designs of these creatures and characters and people. And one of the biggest things that stood out to me as a cosplayer, as the person that I am, as something that I can't help but notice, were them outfits. My lord! Those outfits though! I didn't even unlock all of them, nor did I get to upgrade to see the better version of the outfits that I've acquired already. But like, damn! Woo! That's why I wish like everything was like Monster Hunter, where you can use layered armor, kind of wear the main armor with the perks, but on the outside mix and match the stuff that, oh my lord, woo! Just thinking about it right now gives me shivers. And I've got an example playing for you as I am talking about it, obviously, but just looking through these and admiring him all over again, and his beauty and his glory and his power and his funk and his even the atmosphere, the level designs of these games is just unmatched. So much unnecessary detail, and the game was pretty linear. Talking about the atmosphere, there were certain places where I thought I could jump that would just give me like an invisible wall that I couldn't, and it made sense to jump, but the fact that I couldn't do it was a little bit like, The boss fights, the cinematics before the boss fights, all the strands of hair and the beat of the drums of some of the music playing in the background in sync with the movesets of the enemies. Like, the detail is so ridiculous. I just could not. I mean, there were certain bosses that I was just like, I just want to die so I can make it last longer. That's sick. The music, oh my god, Headless Mister, why weren't you there throughout the whole game, man? And it was placed in such beautiful places as well, and not just Headless's music, that was my number one, but everything it was just purposeful, man. Like, that's the only way I could describe it. Graphics, unmatched, unnecessarily detailed. Beautiful. The fact that there were so many secret areas as well was definitely a highlight. It was shit that I would never even imagine, like going through the waterfalls, or having to do an NPC mission and then having allowance to enter through this crack, or going through one portal to another place. It is just so cool. And the best part are the cinematics after each chapter. So when you defeat a major boss in the 6 chapters, then there is a different style of animation that plays after you've completed the chapter, and they were so emotional and so story driven and purposeful, and just really cool little animated short films that were so touching and just amazing. I don't know, it just hit different. It just really hit different. If I try and find things that I didn't really like about the game, there are like 2 or 3 at the top of my head, but nothing that was like crazy bad, or not much anyway. I hated the fact that there wasn't a map. That kind of didn't make any sense at all. And there are certain places and parts of the game where you can scout with like your cicada or a bat from getting to one location to another. I felt like I wish there could have been more of that so I can be more motivated to scout, because you can only do it in certain areas, or like one time, or just watch it or look around. But I feel like if they implemented that in the gameplay to use, instead, if you don't give me a map, then at least let me have access to these little creatures to make out my own map somehow. So that was a thing for me. I wish that they like, it's Sun Wukong, I'm powerful, I'm magical, like, let me do those basic things in game. But again, whatever, it was a nice little taste. There was even a segment in the game where it was a side mission and a secret boss fight where you have to disguise as a fox, and I was just like, damn, like, I wish we had more of this. I wish we had this from the very beginning. And it was only to do that mission. And yeah, you were free to go wherever you wanted, but I wish that was more consistent in the game. I feel like, yeah, the dub could have been done better, but the game was so mesmerizing that it never really bothered me. And again, it's their first time, like, let them figure it out. It's okay. But honestly, overall, not very much that I didn't like. So, I mean, my actual final thoughts of Wukong was an unforgettable experience. It's a new IP, it's something fresh, it's so beautifully done, and the fact that it's a first time thing, how could you not respect it? Like, don't sit here and complain the fact that it's not a perfect game. It's their first one. Chill. And look what these people are capable of, dude. Like, can you imagine what's coming next? Can you imagine after what they hear from us and getting our reviews and our feedback, like what they can change? And the fact that we're getting extra content for free that was already told to us that we're probably even getting in January, like that, come on, like put some respect on that name. But overall, I feel like Wukong was just such a purposeful, intentional game. Like I was saying earlier, the Japanese stuff was so rinsed and repeated that it got old, and I was looking forward to something different. Like, I'm over the Greek stuff, I'm over the Japanese stuff, I'm over the cyberpunk kind of stuff, and the fact that just China came in and just said, hey look, we're cool too, I'm like, thank you, because you are goddamn cool. And it's a different taste of culture, it's a different taste of creativity and uniqueness, and what's not to love about that? There was so much elegance to this game. There was so much beauty and color and just flowing of the leaves and just the backgrounds, the distance. It was so lovely. It was stunning. It was gorgeous. I could just stand and stare sometimes, and seeing all the things happening in the background, from the birds flying to the big grasshopper jumping from location to location, and have him take you around the map in that one section of the game, the last chapter of the game, chapter 6. Like, damn! What? How cool is that? Also in chapter 6 with the somersault cloud, like the fact that I was able to just use that whenever I wanted, and yes, that map was absolutely humongous, and obviously I can't expect for every level of each chapter to be that scale, but if it was though, you see what I mean with what they can do? But yeah, probably one of the most beautiful games I've ever had the pleasure of playing. I personally am going to give it a 9 out of 10 because it was way better than what I expected, and just design wise and the perspective of it and just the uniqueness of the entire game was absolutely mind-blowing, super respected from me, and I would encourage every person to play it, especially Souls players, especially non-Souls players. All of you, like, don't expect it to be something that you want, because that's not realistic. Let it give you what it is and appreciate what it gave you, because there is a lot to appreciate with Black Myth Wukong. You guys, I am going to leave it here. I know I talk a lot. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you were able to resonate with some of the things that I said. I hope you were able to agree. And if you didn't agree, what do you not agree about? Like, what is it about this game that you think sucked, or what made it incredible to you that I didn't even talk about? Like, talk to me. This is one of the best games that ever came out. And when it comes to Game of the Year, even if this game doesn't get it, the fact that it is a first time beautiful game and it has so much potential to be even in the mouth of Game of the Year is to be respected. So this game did a really bloody good job, so you should definitely check it out and take it from me. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.